Kentucky, where college basketball reigns supreme.
It's not just a game here in this state, it's a way of life.
It's Louisville's legendary Freedom Hall, home of the Louisville Cardinals, coming up next on Hardwood Heavens. Set on the southern border of the Ohio River, Louisville is home to many sports icons: the Kentucky Derby, the Louisville Slugger, and the birthplace of one Cassius Clay, better known as Muhammad Ali. Louisville is also home to another famous sports tradition, the high-flying University of Louisville Cardinals.
As a coach, you know darn good and well that you could never have done it on your own. And you really do appreciate the people that helped you along the way, and especially the university that hired you and the university that supports you.
It's an extremely diverse school with 23% minority, so it has a lot of special qualities. It really does, and we're very proud of not only the heritage, but what the makeup of the city and the makeup of the university is all about. We're very proud of what we stand for.
There's no professional team here, so we're really the main team. You know, everybody looks at us. U of L is the centerpiece of the whole city, so they show us a lot of love, man. I just feel good to be somewhere where there's just so much tradition and so much pride for the school.
When they talk to you about winning games all the time, you just don't want to let them down. And I think the players carry that on the court. The expectation that the fans have for them, I think they go out and just play hard and try to win games.
Losses, foul line jumper, got it.
The man credited with building the Louisville basketball tradition was head coach Bernard Peck Hickman. He had 23 straight winning seasons from 1945 to 1967, and that laid the foundation for modern Louisville basketball success.
He took a cut in pay from Valley High School to come to the university, which says a lot about him, what he thought possibly the future would hold.
Before the move to Freedom Hall, Louisville had played in one of the country's finest arenas since 1905. The downtown Armory seated almost 7,000 fans. Huge crowds in those days.
The old Armory had its pluses for us, it seemed like, and the closeness of the fans. You know, you're sitting right on top of you, so it was home.
Coach Hickman took his team to the NIT championship game in 1956, where Louisville great Charlie Tyree grabbed tournament MVP honors.
New York City and national television, national championship. You know, things didn't get any better than that.
In December of 1956, a new arena was built inside the Kentucky Exposition Center. And in the wake of Hickman's great success, a citywide contest was held to determine the name of the new venue. With patriotism at an all-time high in the mid-1950s, the name Freedom Hall was chosen from thousands of entries.
This was a palace. When Freedom Hall was built, there weren't many places like this. It was huge by most basketball arena standards. I guess I remember the Wesley Unseld era in the late 60s was when this place really started getting into U of L basketball, and they started filling Freedom Hall, and the crowd started really getting rabid.
Since its construction, Freedom Hall has seen more than $16 million in renovations. The capacity was increased to more than 18,700 in 1984 by lowering the floor 10 feet. Better locker rooms, a new court, lights and sound system made Freedom Hall an even finer place to play.
Once they redid Freedom Hall, it was as nice a place to play and to watch as any place in the country. It has great acoustics in it, and there's some places that you play where you have to use sign language to get across messages.
I said, boy, this place is unbelievable. It reminded me in baseball of Wrigley Field. I've always felt that, even being at Kentucky, or playing at Providence, that this was the most special place in the country to play a game of basketball.
Freedom Hall is probably one of the best shooting gyms I've ever been in, just because of the lights and setting and everything, and the court is just It's unbelievable. It's soft. It's not hard. You know, I feel like you get a lot of bounce on it.
Originally built to host the Kentucky State Fair's World Championship Horse Show, the hall is a multi-purpose facility where fans come to see more than just the Cardinal emblem at center court.
During the summer, we bring recruits in, and you never know what you're going to find in there. It could be the cattle show, it could be the farm and machinery show, and then the next day you can have Freedom Hall set up and be a great basketball.
It's Clark, shoveled up, missed it, Clark rebounds.
For more than 50 years, that court in Freedom Hall went unnamed. But in 2007, it was only fitting that legendary coach Denny Crum had his name inscribed on the hallowed hall court. In 1971, Crum came to Louisville after playing for and then assisting legendary coach John Wooden at UCLA.
Coach Crum's nickname was Cool Hand Luke, and he carried that at practice. He's carried it away from practice. He carried it during the games. As a player, and especially when you come in young guy, freshman, sophomore, you need that leadership with a guy as cool as he was in those situations. It kind of carried on to the players.
You learn how to win gracefully. You learn how to lose gracefully. That doesn't mean you have to like it, but you have to accept it. It's part of sports. It's part of life.
In only his second year, Crum took the Cardinals to their Final Four. There would be many more to come.
He made you grow up. And he made you understand that if you were going to be successful, not just on the basketball court, but in life, it was going to have to be something that you did.
I think the players that you have an effect on over the years, they don't really realize, I don't think, while they're still playing, how much of an effect you have on their lives until they get out in the real world.
He's a very humble man, a very confident man, and a terrific coach. And we're honored to be naming the court after Denny Crum Court, for not only his excellence for 30 years, but for representing this community in such a positive light. And the Hall of Fame coach now will have his signature on that court.
It's just a real positive, I think, thing for me and my family, and for the fans that supported us all those years.
The legalization of the dunk in college basketball came in 1976, just in time for a new Cardinal recruit, Louisville prep star Darrell Griffith.
The team that I was on, from 76 to 80, we were the first team to really brand the dunk. You know, we were called the Doctors of Dunk, and of course my name was Dr. Dunkenstein.
We was high flying, and we didn't care who was in the way. We was gonna try to either dunk over you. We wasn't going around you. We was gonna dunk over you. So if you got in the way, you're just gonna be dunked on. I think that's where we get the nickname from, Doctors of Dunks.
The name Dr. Dunkenstein came from my brother, Michael. He's a big Parliament Funkadelic fan. And George Clinton had a character called Dr. Funkenstein. And it was at that year that album that came out. From Dr. Funkenstein came Dr. Dunkenstein. I mean, we had some characters, Wiley and Derek, they spoke pig Latin. You know, we had a guy on our team named Marty Pulliam, we called him Snowman. He was about 6'11" white kid, and everybody got a kick out of him. And I mean, we had some characters on our team.
Denny Crum's Doctors of Dunk made it to the NCAA Finals in 1980 and then took home the title, beating UCLA in the championship game. It should also be noted that the high five was popularized by the Cardinal basketball team during its run to the 1980 NCAA championship. With two Final Four appearances in between, the Cardinals made it back to the championship game in 1986, where never-nervous freshman Purvis Ellison led Louisville to an upset win over Duke.
I know every time we got into Final Fours and stuff, our enrollment went up, and the giving at our university was increased, and it just made for a real pride that our community took, and kind of brought the whole community together.
In 1983, one of the most heated rivalries in college basketball started when Kentucky Governor John Brown Jr. forced the University of Kentucky to meet the Louisville Cardinals on the basketball court. The teams have played every year since in the annual Battle for the Bluegrass game.
And to be honest with you, the game wasn't as important to me as it was to the fans. They had a built-in animosity towards Kentucky because Kentucky always looked down their nose at us and wouldn't play any of the other universities in the state.
It's a very competitive, hard-fought rivalry, and the crowds here are about the best you have for any game year in, year out.
It's tough to explain unless you really go through it, for the fact that the emotions, the intensity, every play, it just seems to be bigger and bigger as the game goes on.
After watching UK's success under Coach Rick Pitino, Louisville fans were elated when the university hired Pitino as Crum's successor in 2001.
I think the Louisville fans were happy that Coach Pitino came. I think the Kentucky fans were upset that he came, because he'd had all that success at Kentucky, and then he left, and to come back and coach the arch rival, so to speak, that's heresy. That should never ever happen. And it was a tremendous coup that the program was able to get him, and everything that he's brought to the program to date.
I was fine with it. I wanted Louisville to win no matter who was coaching them or who played. I mean, it was my school. I spent 30 years working there, and I still work there 35 years later. Rick is a good coach that works hard and has great basketball background and has done well every place he's been.
Well, I think what makes him successful as a coach is, the amount of time he spends on the court with the players. He's a great man, a very loyal man. That's the best way to, describe Coach P. He's a funny guy, too. He kind of yells at you a lot, gets on you, but he knows what he's talking about. He's been around a long time, and, learning from him has just been a great experience.
The success and reputation of Pitino helped make 2005 a banner year for the Cards, their first trip to the Final Four since 1986, and a move to the Big East.
Rick Pitino brought U of L back. As great as Louisville was under Denny, they slid a little bit the last few years. And people were worried that the tradition was fading. And Rick came back, brought new energy, new talent, brought the talent up again. And 4 years later, there they were back in the Final Four.
For us, our 2004 Final Four team was extremely special with Francisco Garcia and Taekwon Dean and Ellis Smiles. Those guys will still come back and see us all the time. I think the teams that win are always more special than any other teams that you have, because you remember those great winning moments.
After their Final Four appearance, Rick Pitino's Cards entered the Big East Conference, which expanded to 16 teams.
Well, the Big East is a difficult conference because you play on a Saturday, you play on a Monday, and you really can't get a pulse on the teams and nostalgia because everybody's so new. You have so many teams that it's not like Duke, Carolina, or Kentucky, Florida. You play these teams so many times. You know the coach, you know the style, you know the personnel. The teams are so different.
Every game's going to be a battle, man. It's just like a war. Guys are going to be bloody, elbows going to be thrown, and guys are going to be pushed around. It's fun every night. There's not a lot of blowouts in our conference, so every night you got to bring it.
The Louisville basketball team doesn't stand alone as the school's only athletic team with a winning reputation. The Louisville Cardinal cheerleaders and the Lady Bird dance teams are a dynasty unto themselves. They've won numerous national titles over the last 20 years.
Balancing the competition aspects of our program as well as our responsibilities to the university in terms of spirit and spirit leading. It's really easy here at the University of Louisville because, who wouldn't want to cheer a basketball game for Coach Pitino?
All of us are big competitors, but it's also relaxing to just be able to come and cheer on our amazing teams, and we feed off the crowd, so it's a good opportunity.
Big game tonight, as you know, televised, and I also think with us coming off of 2 Big East wins in a row, I think the fans are really hyped.
There's the dance team is really good. The cheerleaders are really good. They're always into the game.
I'm usually on a game day, you come out and warm up, a couple fans, a little student section right there, the band playing. And once you come out for the big whistle, oh man, it's packed. Everybody standing up, chanting gold cards, you know, spelling U of L out, you know, just getting us amped up, ready to play.
Filled to capacity in Freedom Hall, fans hold up L's on their hands. The university symbol of the Cardinals plainly saying, "Give 'em L, Cards."
The Louisville fans are the fuel that makes the engine run here in Louisville. I mean, you know, without gas, you can't perform. And without the hometown fans we have here, we got some of the best fans, the best college fans in the country.
When they really get rolling here and they do the CARDS cheer, which was started by a guy up in that section about in the 1980 championship year, I think is when that started, and that's a tradition that's carried on. When they really roll and they get to a timeout and the whole building chants CARDS, it's pretty special.
They kind of started off like you get a little drum roll going, and then they go CARDS. They do it probably 20 times a game, but it never gets old. It's awesome.
In 1911, the school hoped to represent its home state of Kentucky by naming the state bird its mascot. The cardinal is a sideline fixture in Freedom Hall and at other Louisville sporting events on game days.
The bird gets his hype. Everybody loves the bird. The bird is a symbol of the city, man.
The Cardinal mascot's Louisville sports, Louisville basketball. I mean, he's been around forever. There are little kids who initially might grow up afraid of him, sort of like little kids fear Santa. Then they grow up and they love the Cardinal bird. Everybody loves the Cardinal bird.
As the Big East matchup gets closer, more than 19,000 fans pile into Freedom Hall to watch the Cards take on Jim Boeheim's Syracuse Orange.
Fourth turnover by Louisville, the three by Syracuse. Fakes the pass, jumps into the circle, jumps and passes off, gets it back, goes to Paget, kicks it out to Sosa. Good fake, penetrates, running shot in the lane, good by Sosa. The top left to Devendorf, to right, straight away. Right, works through the lane, and Farley blocks his shot, but it's recovered underneath. Bounces to Sosa at the top left, back to Jenkins again, straight away. Sosa on the left, shoots a long three and hit it.
You know, I think a lot of teams probably come in and look at it, you know, kind of just a big place where this team used to play, you know, and it kind of seems like an NBA arena, you know, kind of just big crowd but not real loud. But, you know, once the crowd really gets into the game, Freedom Hall gets extremely loud, and I think people really underestimate that. So I think it's a great home court advantage.
In a marvelous venue like Freedom Hall, when the fans, cheerleaders, legends, and traditions all come together, something magical can still happen. And Louisville's unbelievable comeback victory over Syracuse tonight is proof of that.
If I could talk to the players today, I try to get them to understand that this time here goes by very, very quickly. So relish every moment that you're on the floor. Relish the fans, relish all of it, because it doesn't take long before it's, as I said, it's gone, but it also doesn't take long before you're just a memory.
They helped us a lot because it shows you that we got the best college fans in America. So, you know, that's what it does a lot to us, because if we didn't have the fans when we was down 10, if we didn't have the fans when we was down 10, you know, it'll kind of be hard to come back. So when they're down 10 and you got great people behind you cheering you on, it just helps you dig in harder.
Coach Wooden would say that you only prosper through adversity. So as a player, when you play different styles and types of teams, there's a lot of adverse minutes and adverse times in games that you have to learn to deal with. And how you accept that and learn to deal with it has a lot to do with the quality of life that you're going to have after basketball.
Well, tradition is every coach that you go to recruit his player. He knows all about Louisville basketball. He knew all about Denny Crum. He knew about the excellence. So that's what tradition does for you. It's a segue into something special.
For Hardwood Heavens, I'm Brent Musburger.